Welcome everyone to today's session on building AI and machine learning products that deliver real, scalable business impact. We'll unpack practical frameworks and real-world case stories to help you deliver measurable business outcome while building ML products. We'll focus on how to identify value fast, iterate responsibly, and scale with confidence. My name is Gaurav Varshney, and I currently lead Meta's ads measurement ML product strategy and development. I've spent the last 15 years building and scaling AI-driven products at Meta, Amazon, and other large companies that have included ads measurement platforms that drive billions of dollars in revenue, privacy-centric ML APIs, and AI-based 5G infrastructure serving tens to hundreds of millions of users. Across these stops, I've learned one thing: the difference between an interesting demo and tangible business outcomes is disciplined product management. So let's get into it. Here's the roadmap for the next 30 minutes. We'll begin with a quick pulse check on the AI market. Then I'll share a simple framework for spotting the right opportunities and aligning strategy. We'll ground that with real-world case studies, talk about measurement and scaling, and close out with a handful of takeaways that you can add to your frameworks. A quick reality check on the landscape. We are long past the will AI happen phase. Global spend is set to leap over 6x in the next 6 years. Enterprise adoption now outpaces earlier waves like cloud and mobile, and 80% of CX leaders expect AI to streamline core operations. These three trends, namely scale, adoption, and workflow embedding, show why product thinking matters. The Gartner hype cycle on the right underscores that point. While the Gen AI buzz is cooling, the composite AI investments that include blending LLMs, retrieval, knowledge graphs, and robust tooling is moving into real production. As PMs, focus where market maturity meets product feasibility, not just the hottest trends in the press. We are at a strategic pivot. Nearly every enterprise now runs AI pilots, but only 12% achieve transformational impact. The bar has moved from experiment to embed. To realize ROI, AI must weave into daily workflows and be treated as a living product, which is supported by durable data assets, cross-functional talent, and governance. We'll talk more about these shifts from pilots to platforms as a part of frameworks and case studies throughout this talk. Most AI use cases land in one of 6 buckets. Personalization drives engagement and retention. Forecasting and prediction powers demand or churn planning and cuts waste. Computer vision automates visual inspection, boosting accuracy and speed. Natural language processing powers chatbots and semantic search, unlocking productivity and smoother UX. Classification and scoring filters fraud, leads, or risk so humans can focus where it counts. And lastly, generative AI accelerates creativity across text, images, and code. While we'll discuss differences between traditional and ML products later in this session, I wanted to lay out the key differences up top. Traditional software, as you all know, is deterministic. Same input will lead to the same output. And once shipped, fixes are aimed at addressing code bugs. ML products, on the other hand, are probabilistic. Their behavior emerges with data patterns and changes with training data, and hence, same input does not guarantee the same output. And edge cases are inevitable. As PMs, we are managing a living system. So you need to plan for continuous learning from day one. One of the most common mistakes you'll see someone make when thinking about potential applications of AI is to start with technology. We have access to a model, or let's use Gen AI, without a clear understanding of the problem it is solving. This framework flips that thinking. It starts with a question: where in your product or business do you have a high impact opportunity that would benefit from intelligence or automation? To find that, first look for pain points with quantifiable outcomes. For example, are users abandoning onboarding? Are sales representatives wasting time qualifying leads? Are customers frustrated by long support resolution times? Next, define clear success metrics tied to business outcomes, not just technical metrics like model accuracy, but things like conversion rate, retention, time savings, or cost reduction. Then formulate a testable value hypothesis. This is where you say, if we add a predictive model here, we expect X% improvement in Y metric. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you need something concrete to test. Importantly, you also want to set performance thresholds. For example, we'll only move forward if the model lifts engagement by at least 5%. These thresholds keep you from shipping science experiments that don't deliver business value. AI should be treated as a means to an end. If the value hypothesis doesn't hold up, you should kill the idea early and move on. That's how you stay strategic and avoid the trap of building AI for AI's sake. Let's ground this framework in a name we all know, Netflix. Netflix shows how a single ML asset compounds value. Their biggest business problem was subscriber churn. If viewers didn't find something to watch fast, they derived less value from the platform and they were more likely to cancel their subscription. So the answer to the problem of how can we cut churn by surfacing the right title first is their famous recommendation engine that today drives over 80% of the overall viewing time on platform. Analysts peg the churn savings at roughly $1 billion a year. But the magic isn't just lower cancellations. Recommendation data now guides what originals to get funded, leveraging the aggregate viewing patterns. So the loop keeps reinforcing itself. Better recommendations, better viewing, sharper content bets. The lesson is simple. When an ML system tackles high-stakes metric and is wired into decision making, it becomes a strategic moat, not a feature. Next, let's talk about building a robust product strategy. Spotting the AI opportunity is only half the game. You still need a strategy that sticks. Let's break this down into 3 parts. First, problem definition. Identify the highest ROI pain point and write a testable hypothesis. If we add ML here, churn drops by 5%. Second, technical approach. With data science and engineering, you have to ask, do we have the data? Is a bespoke model something that exists today and can be generalized, or an off-the-shelf LLM faster? How will the learning loop run? And lastly, implementation roadmap. Roll out in phases, bake in governance, and user trust signals. Monitor for model drift. When value, feasibility, and execution line up, AI moves from demo to durable impact. Let's look at application of the strategy with a real-life case study. Stitch Fix shows how you can scale a luxury-feeling service without losing its soul. The initial bottleneck was clear. Customers love a personal stylist, but pure human curation doesn't scale and caps growth. And pure automation feels robotic. So Stitch Fix built a hybrid loop. Algorithms consider each client's size, taste, and purchase history and feedback to shortlist items. And human stylist does the final edit and adds a handwritten note. That mix lets one stylist cover many clients while keeping empathy and brand love. This drives higher personalization accuracy, lower return rates, and better margins. The takeaway here is that a well-designed AI system can help amplify human productivity. The goal isn't to replace them. Let's talk about what hard skills you need as an AI PM. You don't need to spin up models yourself, but you must speak the language. First, ML literacy. Know the basics. Classification versus regression, what an inference call is, and why latency often trades off with accuracy. Second, data literacy. Where does the training data come from? How was it labeled? What biases hitch a ride? Garbage data means garbage model every time. Third, experimentation. Can you frame a clean A B test, read uplift, and spot when selection bias sneaks in? Fourth, statistical intuition, understanding sampling, variance, and confidence. When someone says, this is 2% better, you should ask, better than what? And is it statistically real? And finally, and somewhat most importantly, cross functional leadership. Translate business intent into technical feasibility and technical nuance back into strategy. Master the conversation, not the code. All right, here's where AI really stretches the PM role. The team is no longer just engine design. Now you have got ML scientists, ML engineers, data scientists, infra, and yes, legal and policy. Your superpower is translation. With ML scientists, paint the business target. Is good a 10% churn drop or 95% precision? Your job is to spell it out and align, or you'll be asking them to aim in the dark. With ML engineers, talk delivery. How fast must the model run? How often must we retrain? What happens when it misfires? With data engineers, negotiate data reality. Do we have the signals? Are they fresh? If not, what timeline to clean and label? With data scientists, insist on impact, incremental revenue, cost savings, and not just pretty p-values. And with legal and policy, turn urgency into guardrails. They are your partners in succeeding with privacy, fairness, and compliance. Bottom line is that you are the connective tissue that keeps every function aimed at the same North Star. Next is another one of my favorite principles. Start measuring impact on day one. Model architecture and F1 scores are interesting, but leadership cares more about business results. I group those results in three categories. First, direct metrics: revenue, cost reduction, cycle time savings, accuracy gains, amongst many others. These map cleanly to the P&L and answer the question, is it working? Second, indirect metrics, such as Net Promoter Score, user trust, and employee satisfaction. They capture the long-term health of an AI experience. A faster chatbot that frustrates customers will still hurt retention. Third, investment metrics, such as cost of ownership, payback period, ongoing infra or labeling costs, and ease of scaling to other markets or products. They position AI as an asset, not as an experiment. Define these targets before you write a line of code, track them rigorously, and let the data steer every iteration. Let's talk about another case study that can help us understand these concepts better. Think about the pricing dilemma every Airbnb host faces. Nightly rates swing with seasons, local events, and even a midweek concert. Yet most hosts were guessing and leaving money on the table. Airbnb's answer was a dynamic pricing engine, a model that uses features such as booking history, demand signals, listing trades, and then suggests a nightly rate that moves with the market. Crucially, the team didn't just launch and hope. They ran controlled A/B tests, phased the rollout by region and host tier, and tracked multiple signals across the previous framework in one dashboard: adoption, host engagement, conversion lift, and incremental revenue. They iterated weekly based on what they were seeing in those results. And these outcomes drove their strategy around building tutorials to drive trust amongst hosts and users alike. The lesson is simple. A smart model matters, but disciplined measurement and thoughtful rollout are key in driving sustained results. Many AI pilots shine in the lab, yet stall in production. Here are top 5 practices I have seen help them move beyond the MVP. First, build a platform. Shared feature stores, training pipelines, deployment tools let every new use case launch faster. Second, choose generalizable models. Engines like ranking or similarity can support multiple products, unlike a one off fraud detector tied to a single market. Third, plan for continuous learning. With time, data will drift and user behavior may shift. So, monitoring and scheduled retraining must be designed in from day one. Fourth, design for trust. Offer clear explanations, graceful fallbacks, and user controls so adoption grows with confidence. And finally, optimize for business constraints as well as accuracy. Balance latency, infrastructure cost, and explainability across regions and products. Scaling is all about orchestration, with product, infrastructure, design, and performance working in concert. Let's look at another case study to see this in action. Lemonade shows what happens when these 5 scaling principles are baked in from day one. First, platformization. Instead of separate tools for each policy type, Lemonade built a single ML platform that now handles renters, pet, life, and more. Second, generalizable use cases. The same AI claims engine that approves payouts also drives onboarding, risk scoring, and customer service. One engine, multiple applications. Third, monitoring and continuous learning. Every claim flows through audit trails, confidence checks, and fallback rules, and edge cases escalate to a human. And this feedback into the model allows for the model to improve continuously. Fourth, trust by design. The app tells customers when the bot decides and when a person steps in. This drives transparency both for regulators as well as for users, enhancing trust. And finally, business-aware optimization. They turned for speed and margin, not just for model accuracy. Claims that once took days now clear in seconds at a fraction of legacy cost. The outcome is faster payouts, happier customers, and reusable ML backbone ready for the next product line. Delivering value is only half of our mandate. The other half is doing it responsibly. 4 dimensions matter when we talk about responsible AI. First, fairness and bias. Most bias hides in the data, not in the code. You should ask who's represented, who's missing, and does performance hold across age, gender, and region. Second, transparency. In loans or content moderation, decisions must be explainable. Even in software use cases, users deserve to know when they're talking to a model and what its limits are. Next, privacy and security. Data minimization, user consent, retention rules, compliance with frameworks such as GDPR and CCPA. These are product requirements, not legal checkboxes. Lastly, accountability. Plan for failure modes, fallback flows, escalation paths, and clear ownership when a model misfires. Responsible AI isn't a break, it's your license to scale and increasingly a market differentiator. Unlike traditional software, an AI product never stops moving. Think of the work as a loop, 7 stages that keep repeating. Stage 1, frame the problem. What business goals are we chasing? Why does a learning system beat fixed rules? Stage 2, shape the data. Source it, label it, stress test the edge cases. Poor data today becomes biased tomorrow. Stage 3, develop the model. ML scientists explore algorithms. Our job is to define the goal in business terms, not just accuracy points. Stage 4, evaluate. Offline metrics are a start, but online A/B tests and segment cuts prove causal impact. Stage 5, deploy. Plan for inference speed, cost, scale, and graceful fallbacks. Stage 6, monitor and retrain. Monitor for model drifts, schedule periodic health checks and updates before model performance slides. Stage 7, governance, fairness audits, transparency, compliance. These guardrails keep the flywheel turning. Then the loop begins again, continuous ownership, not a one and done checklist. An AI roadmap isn't just a feature list, it's a continuous learning system that matures over time. Start with the foundation. Invest first in data pipelines, feature stores, and orchestration tools. McKinsey reports that companies with robust data infra are twice more likely to see AI pay off. Sequence by value. Start with quick win models that prove impact and build credibility. Exactly how Airbnb rolled out simple pricing tweaks before tackling full automation. Use those wins to fund the deeper and more strategic bets. And finally, plan for technical debt. Budget upfront for retraining pipelines, observability, and model hygiene. LinkedIn keeps about 20% of its AI capacity tied to this upkeep. A strong roadmap compounds value. Lay the infrastructure, notch early wins, and keep the system healthy so it can adapt and scale. Let's talk about managing risk and execution. AI failures are rarely loud, but they can snowball fast. I keep 4 risk buckets in views. First, data risk. If training data is biased, stale, or incomplete, the model will miss, even when the math looks perfect. Continuous checks on labeling, coverage, and pipeline health are non-negotiable. Second, experimentation risk. A poorly framed A/B test or a vanity metric can greenlight the wrong model. Align every experiment with the true business goal. Third, infrastructure risk. Prototype often crash in productions. Model inference cost, latency, retraining cadence, versionings, and SLAs. Finally, responsible AI risk. Fairness gaps, privacy missteps, and regulatory backlash can effectively kill your product. Guardrails, fallback UX, and clear ownership keep you ahead of trouble. We can't erase risk, but our job is to surface it early, mitigate it proactively, and keep the system safe to scale. Here's your playbook on building a business case for investment in AI. Leadership won't greenlight a project because the technology is cool. They back it when the story is clearly about business value. I use a 5-question narrative. First, problem and opportunity. What's the user pain point or cost leak that we are closing? And how large is the lever? Second, why AI? Explain why a learning system leveraging personalization, unstructured input, or massive scale may work better for your use case than fixed rules. Third, the impact. Quantify the upside, whether it's conversion lift, churn reduction, hours saved, alongside the metric and method you'll use to prove it. Fourth, readiness. Do we have clean representative data and infrastructure to train, serve, and monitor the model? And finally, return on investment. Lay out the complexity, the MVP path, and how you would scale validating the milestones. Let's wrap up. Here are key takeaways I'd like you to keep. First, business value. If the metric isn't clear, the model doesn't matter. Value-led projects succeed 3 times more often. Second, prioritize with a framework. Use the AI opportunity matrix to match impact with feasibility and say no to science fair ideas. Third, ship in layers. Proof of concept, MVP, then scale. Momentum beats perfection. Fourth, measure what matters. Track model precision and revenue, cost and satisfaction, so your outlook stays holistic. Finally, bake in responsibility. Fairness, transparency, privacy are product quality features, not compliance afterthoughts. Master these 5 moves and you'll turn smart models into scalable business impact. Remember, successful AI products don't just come from better models. They come from better decisions on where to invest, how to ship, and how to lead cross-functional teams through complexity. Thanks for joining me today. If you're debating ranking versus forecasting, real-time personalization versus batch prediction, or privacy-safe measurement, or any other ML application for your product, or just want candid lessons from working on ads, commerce, or platform products, I'd love to compare notes. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or by email after the session. I appreciate your time and hope these frameworks help you turn machine learning ideas into measurable business outcomes. Thank you.